はい、皆さんこんにちは。評論家でストップいじめナビ代表の荻上チキと申します。
Hello everyone, I'm Chiki Ogiue, Director of Stop Ijime Navi, or Stop Bullying Navigation, an NPO group based in Tokyo, Japan. Today I'd like to talk about the realities of school bullying and the bullying prevention measures in Japan. First, I'd like to explain what we do as an NPO group. Stop Ijime Navi was established in 2012. We run a web portal where people can find useful information about bullying, conduct surveys on bullying, and provide information and data to teachers, local governments, and the public. More than half of our members are lawyers, and they deliver guest lectures to primary and junior high schools. Also, we give lectures to the press because the media often rely on incorrect data when reporting on bullying. We also provide workshops to the public, lobby to legislate laws on school bullying. We also provide various tools to help people targeted by bullying. We launched our group in 2012 in response to a bully suicide that happened in Otsu city. The case of bully suicide became a big social issue and caused a media storm from which there emerged a strong public opinion that Japan needed a bullying prevention law. Our group had already accumulated knowledge and data on bullying and felt that we could play an important role in this development, including lobbying to establish a new law. Thus, Stop Ijime Navi was founded. Next, I'd like to talk about the key developments on bullying in Japan at the administrative and government levels. In 1985, the Japanese government started to collect data on school bullying. It was data submitted by prefectural governments and seriously lacked in accuracy. Nonetheless, it helped to raise awareness that it is a government responsibility to provide measures to counter school bullying. As I mentioned earlier, however, the bullying prevention law did not exist until there was a major media storm in 2012. This meant that for over 25 years, discourses on school bullying in Japan were not based on scientific evidence, and the public discourse on school bullying rose and soon disappeared each time a case of bully suicide was reported widely in the media. 2012 was also the year a new Abe government was elected. After the bully suicide case in Otsu city and the ensuing media storm, all political parties promised during the election campaign to establish a bullying prevention law. After the election, therefore, the focus was shifted to the actual content of the law. At around the same time, Otsu city legislated and enacted its own laws on the prevention of child bullying. Another government response to bullying was to introduce in 2018 a new subject called moral education. It is important to know that the school where the Otsu bullying suicide occurred had been a model school for moral education even before the tragedy happened. On the one hand, moral education created a formal framework for the topic of bullying to be dealt with in academic class time, which is a positive development. On the other hand, the issue of bullying was being used for political purposes by those who wanted to promote moral education. As to whether the moral education actually is effective or not to prevent bullying will have to be examined through systematic research in future. Next, I'd like to talk about the transformation of the definition of bullying in Japan. At the beginning, in 1986, it was defined as something that causes serious distress and pain to someone weaker than you in a one-sided manner by attacking the person repeatedly, physically or psychologically. In 1994, these points remained the same, but after seeing various cases of bully suicide, the government added the following statement. A judgment as to whether a particular deed was bullying or not must be made from the standpoint of the bullied student, and it's not to be made superficially or formally. This addition became the first part of the definition in 2006. In the new definition, words such as in one-sided manner and repeatedly were deleted, and bullying is defined as something that causes emotional pain after being attacked physically or psychologically from people who are in a certain relationship inside or outside of school. With this new definition established 15 years ago, school bullying came to be recognized as something that arises from the social structure of school and society at large. The definition of bullying in the Otsu Ordinance on Prevention of Child Bullying 2013 is very similar to this definition. It says bullying is a conduct, including through the internet, which influences the targeted child physically or psychologically, that is inflicted by those who are in a certain relationship with the child, like those who are enrolled in the same school, which causes physical and psychological pain in the targeted child. The point here is that bullying is not limited only to the particular school, but covers more widely structural harassment and violent attacks that are conducted in and around schools. More specifically, this definition enables new developments such as the establishment of an advisor's office in the city that helps schools and teachers to draw action plans to prevent bullying. In Otsu City, they set up a department for the promotion of the prevention of bullying. The 2013 law led to the establishment of a citizens' ombudsman system and a standing committee on the prevention of bullying in the local government. Ever since the bully suicide occurred, the members of our group have been involved in many ways to help Otsu City to instigate changes, to share our knowledge and data in the consultative process, to assess and help create their action plan, and to provide our help to collect empirical data on school bullying in the city. The result of the survey conducted in Otsu largely corresponds to the national trends. So the characteristics of bullying I present here can be considered as the characteristics of school bullying in Japan. First, what sort of bullying is most common? It is verbal bullying, such as being made fun of or nasty things said about me. The second is exclusion, excluded, ignored, and bad things said behind my back. And then comes physical bullying, such as being pushed or shoved, hit or kicked. So in Japan, communication manipulation type of bullying, including exclusion, is the most frequent, and bullying involving physical violence is less common. The graph also shows that communication type bullying increases and physical bullying decreases in junior high schools. Survey data 2. Who are the bullies? In Japan, the most frequent bullies are boys in the same class. However, if you compare primary and junior high schools, there is one type that increases in junior high school. That is the bullying by other students in after-school club activities. In Japan, all students must participate in these activities, which are run by the schools. This means that you must do sports or cultural activities with students you do not particularly want to be with. Also, supervision can be an issue in these activities. This combination of students having to do something they don't particularly enjoy with little supervision creates a situation that is prone to bullying. Survey data 3. Where does bullying occur? Where are bullying hotspots? Hotspots of bullying differ from country to country depending on the school system. It can be the playground or school bus, for example. In the case of Japan, the number one hotspot is the classroom, followed by the corridors and stairs. Why? In Japan, students stay in the same classroom, their homeroom, for almost all subjects. In many other countries, students move around to study different subjects, in which case bullying often happens in corridors, stairs, and the playgrounds. Apart from their classroom, the place of their after-school club activities is also a hotspot for junior high school students. The survey data 4. When does bullying occur? In the case of Japan, bullying does not happen much during class time. It happens predominantly in the recess breaks, on the way to and from school, and in junior high schools during the club activities. Based on the knowledge on school bullying as such, and based on the bullying prevention law, measures to prevent school bullying are being developed in Japan at the moment. What are the developments after the enactment of the bullying prevention law in 2013? First, the principle of responding to bullying as a whole school team was established. Previously, cases of bullying were largely handled by the homeroom teacher, which often meant that nothing was done about bullying. Leaving the management of bullying in the hands of a single teacher has become illegal after the enactment of the bullying prevention law, alleviating the negative impact of the teacher lottery. It also became obligatory for schools to prepare an anti-bullying action plan to make schools aware that teachers have a duty to deal with school bullying. It also became easier to include bullying prevention measures in the budget. An additional unexpected positive outcome is a change in the tone of media reportage. Instead of blaming and bashing perpetrators and teachers, the focus has shifted to examining the system. For example, what sort of bullying prevention measures the school had. There are still remaining challenges. First, although the bullying prevention law requires systematic surveys on bullying to be conducted, proper surveys have not yet been done. The quality of official data remains very poor. Second, programs such as KIVA, Orwell's bullying prevention program, SEL, which is social and emotional learning, have not been introduced in schools in Japan, despite the fact that their effectiveness has been proven in meta-level analysis internationally. Instead, moral education and training students to be more sensitive to other people's feelings have been emphasized. At the same time, the outcome of abundant research regarding group norms, emotional training, the intervention of bystanders, for instance, have not been reflected in practice. How to heighten the factors that prevent bullying, how to provide supervision, what are effective methods of discipline. Discussions on such important matters have not progressed much in Japan. With regard to methods of discipline, it is only recently that the use of corporal punishment was reviewed. Until then, discipline was stipulated as the right of parents. Corporal punishment by teachers had been moving towards being banned, but there are still many cases where students are being hit by teachers during club activities and students are being physically punished in class, for example, made to stand for long periods of time. Thus, in Japan, responses based on research and approaches to improving the social environment are still inefficient. So our challenges as an NPO are how we can disseminate specific knowledge on to schools, and what we can do in relation to the next revision of the bullying prevention law, for instance, to reduce stress of both students and teachers, to provide effective supervision, to make it mandatory to set up bullying consultation office, and etc., instead of just enhancing moral and ethics education. As I explained earlier, bullying in Japan surfaced as a major social issue in 2012 and 2013. But since then, the focus has shifted to the educational issues that are related to bullying. For instance, club activities became a big issue. The problem is that young teachers are expected to work as supervisors and advisors of activities outside their area of specialization. When they do not have necessary knowledge of sports rules, training, coaching skills, or medical treatment when someone gets injured, teachers' work as club supervisors ends up being unpaid extra work, and this has become a social issue. Teachers' work conditions in general became a social issue also. The data shows that teachers' work in Japan has increased in the past 20 years or so, and their sleep has become increasingly shorter. Also, teaching has become more casualized, and unpaid overwork, often called service overwork, as in the case of club advisors, is rampant. School rules also became a big social issue. This is also something we raised and articulated as a social issue. In Japan, school rules often diminish the freedom and rights of children. Especially there are rules and regulations on hairstyle, color of underwear, color of socks, length of skirts, prohibition of protecting clothes for cold weather, even stockings. We found through our empirical research that school rules have become stricter in the past 30 years. These strict and unnecessary school rules limit students' freedom, increase their stress, and deprive them of means of stress coping. These educational issues are closely related to school bullying. Club activities often increase bullying. Teachers are often too busy and stressed out to face students, to provide supervision, to deliver lessons easy to understand, and to have time to listen to students. Over-strict school rules increase stress, deprive students of stress coping modes, create school climate that prioritizes order and pressure to conform at the expense of developing the individuality of each student. Research shows that unreasonable school rules make students see teachers as someone who give unreasonable punishment, which in turn increases school bullying. What's common in bullying and educational issues in Japan is that research findings are not sufficiently reflected in measures, and measures to protect human rights of teachers and students are also insufficient. This means that by sharing knowledge and by improving the system, school bullying can be alleviated further. The next 10 years or so will be crucial to see whether we can bring about change. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Chiki Ogiue. And so happy and also a bit not happy to hear about where we are right now, because bullying is not eradicated yet. And with us now, actually, Chiki is not available with us now, wanted to be, but is apparently right now holding a TV session in Japan. And as you heard, we need to spread the word on how to fight bullying. So instead, we have with us Deputy Yuji Tsunaga, and also we have a translator with us, Shoko Yaniyama, with us. So very welcome to the World Anti-Bullying Forum, and I would want to start by asking, what would you say is the most important challenge in Japan right now for bullying prevention?
今日本にとって一番大事ないじめの防止方法というのは何だとお考えになりますか？
はい、とてもそれは難しい、話ではあるのですが、
It's very difficult question to answer, but
一番日本の人たちが気になっているのはいじめで自殺をしてしまうというニュースに一番気になっています。
The most sensitive news and important news about bullying in Japan is the fact that children are dying because of bully suicide.
荻上が話したように、いろんな取り組みは進んでいますが、一番は、学校の環境を変えるということが、この日本のいじめの大きなキーになるというふうに考えています。以上です。
So we are doing a lot of things to prevent bullying, but the most important point about bullying in Japan is to change school environment, the way schools are run for students. That's the most important aspect of bullying prevention in Japan.
And what change there would you say is the most important change to make in schools right now?
学校で最も変えなくちゃいけないことっていうのは何でしょうか？
はい、学校で最も変えなくてはいけないのはこれもいっぱいあります。
There are many.
だけどちょっとインポータントで言うと、学校の、ルールだとか先生のいじめの、対処法だとかがありますが、一番重要なのは、学校の生徒たち教室の中の環境をよりポジティブにできるようにするということがポイントだと思います。
Right. So there are many and important things to change the school rules and to change the ways teachers deal with bullying. But the most important point is to change the atmosphere and the environment of classrooms in Japan. Not any other part particularly, but the classroom is the most important place to look into in the case of Japanese bullying.
なぜならば、日本の学校はとてもストレスフルなデータがいっぱい出てるからということになるので、その部分がどう変わるかによって日本のいじめの、対応という対策は変わってくると思います。以上です。
The reason for that is that there are many data which shows that students are very stressful life in Japanese schools. So how to tackle that part becomes the most important way to deal with school bullying in Japan.
And what has the organization Stop Bullying Navi meant for fighting bullying in Japan?
So いじめストップナビはどういうストップいじめナビは日本のいじめにとってどういう意味があるとお考えになってますか？
はい、私たちはさまざまないじめの研究のデータだとか情報を多くの人たち、子ども、先生、学校、マスコミ、国に情報発信して新しいプログラムやアイデアを提供することを目的としていますので、そういうことを今10年やってきていますが、少しずつ変化は感じています。
So we endeavor to provide lots of data to students, teachers, and schools and local people. And we also introduce many new programs and ideas. So we've done this for 10 years now, and we are seeing gradual changes in the bullying situation in Japan.
Wonderful. Arigato, Yogi Tsunaga and Shoko Yonoyama. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank
And the best
you
of luck
very
in the
much.
future.